I thought nothing could hurt more than a breakup, but I was wrong, because nothing cuts deeper than betrayal from the people you trust the most. 3 years ago, my fiancé left me without a word. No explanation, no goodbye. Myself to sleep for months, and my brother Mark my rock. My best friend was the only one who stood by me, or so I thought. Last month I received a wedding invitation. The man who once promised me forever was marrying my brother, but that wasn't the worst part. At the wedding, my 7-year-old daughter tugged on my sleeve and asked, "Mommy, why is that man calling my uncle Daddy?" In that moment, my world shattered, and what I discovered next about my family, my child, and the man I once loved will haunt me for the rest of my life. Before we go on, if you ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, or if family drama has ever left you speechless, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You never know when someone's story might mirror your own. So tell me, what would you do? If your own brother married the one man who destroyed you, would you walk away? Or would you dig until you found every single lie they buried? Because I didn't walk away, I stayed, and what I uncovered was darker than I ever imagined. When I first met Ryan, it was fall in New England. Leaves painted the streets in red and gold, and everything felt warm. I was 24. He was charming, smart, and just the right amount of broken to make me believe I could fix him. Isn't that how it starts? We met at a local coffee shop. He held the door open, spilled his latte, and made a joke so bad I actually laughed, like I was the center of the universe. My brother Mark liked him too, almost too much. They bonded quickly over football, bad whiskey, and their shared ability to grill steaks like cavemen. It felt good, safe. Mark once pulled me aside and said, "You've got a good one, Claire. Don't mess this up." I smiled, thinking, I won't. I was so sure we were building a future. We talked about kids, about getting a dog. Even bought matching Christmas pajamas, ridiculous bright red ones with dancing reindeer. He made me feel seen, and I needed that. You see, I was always the emotional one in the family, the one who cried at dog commercials and wrote poems no one read. Ryan, he read every one of them. We got engaged a year later. Mark threw us a party in my parents' backyard. There were fairy lights, bad karaoke, and my mom pretending not to cry when Ryan gave a toast. It just has to be honest. Except it wasn't. A few months after that party, things began to shift. Ryan got distant. To burn before I finally got it right, he didn't come home. No text, no call. The next morning, his toothbrush was gone. So was half his closet. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. I remember sitting on the kitchen floor surrounded by pieces of pie crust, holding a note that only said, "I'm sorry." I read it over and over, like maybe if I stared long enough, more words would appear. They didn't. I couldn't breathe. Mark came by the next day. He hugged me tight and said, "He's an idiot." I wanted to believe him, but something felt off. Mark's eyes didn't quite meet mine. He didn't ask where Ryan went. He just kept saying, "Let's not dwell. You've always been stronger than you think." I tried to move on, but every street corner held a memory. Every song on the radio whispered his name. Even my neighbor's dog seemed sadder, like it knew I was broken. There were moments, though tiny ones, where I laughed again, like the time I joined a pottery class and made a bowl that looked more like a sad pancake. The instructor, a sweet old lady with purple glasses, said, "Well, honey, if it holds snacks, it's art." I kept that bowl. Still do. I went back to work, buried myself in spreadsheets and late nights, but nothing filled the space he left behind. 3 years passed. I raised my daughter alone. She never asked much about her father. Said she had me, and that was enough. And for a while, I believed her. Until the wedding invitation came, the envelope was gold. Elegant, expensive. Inside, 2 names printed in bold. Mark Reynolds and Ryan Brooks. My brother. And my ex-fiancé. I felt my knees go weak. The man who held me through heartbreak was marrying. The man who caused it, but the worst part? No one thought it was strange. Not my parents. Not our cousins. Not even my best friend who texted me, "So happy for Mark. Can't wait to see you at the wedding." As if I hadn't been erased from the story, as if my pain was just inconvenient. I stood there in my living room clutching the invite, like it might bite me. And my daughter, sweet as ever, looked up and said, "Mommy, are you going to wear that red dress? The one that makes you look like a superhero?" She still believed I could fly. I used to believe that when someone walks out of your life, you get closure, a reason, a moment where things make sense. But Ryan didn't give me any of that. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He just left. The day he disappeared, I was making coffee. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind where birds chirp too loud and the world feels softer than usual. But something felt off. His keys weren't on the counter. His sneakers were missing from the hallway. And the sweater he always threw over the couch, gone at first. I thought maybe he'd gone out for a run, but hours passed. Then the whole day, and then the night. No call, no message, nothing. By Monday, panic had settled into my bones. I called the hospitals, the police, even his mother. She said, "Claire, I thought he told you. He's staying with a friend out of town." I dropped the phone. Literally, it hit the kitchen floor and cracked, just like my heart. I stared at that broken screen and realized something. He didn't just leave. He planned it. He took his passport, his laptop, even the watch I gave him on our anniversary. It was as if he erased himself from my life on purpose. Mark came over that night. He brought Chinese food and a six-pack. Like comfort came in takeout containers and cheap beer. He didn't say much. Just hugged me. Let me cry. And when I asked him if he'd heard from Ryan, he hesitated. Just for a second, but long enough for me to notice. He said, "I haven't heard from him either. Maybe he just needs space." Space from what? From me. We were engaged. We had a wedding date. He just bought a grill for the backyard. Who leaves all that without a word? I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps. Every message notification made my heart race. But it was never him. 3 days later, I found a small envelope tucked inside the top drawer of my nightstand. It had my name on it, just 5 words written inside. "I'm sorry, I had to." That's all. No signature, no explanation, no closure. I held that note like it might bleed truth if I squeezed hard enough. But all it gave me was silence. Mark helped me move Ryan's things into boxes. He did it without saying a word, which in hindsight was strange. No jokes, no sarcastic comments about Ryan's ugly socks or his obsession with protein bars. Just quiet. To quiet later. That week I overheard Mark on the phone. He was in the backyard pacing. He thought I couldn't hear him. He said, "She's still upset. But no, she doesn't suspect anything. I'll handle it." My stomach turned, like something sour had crawled inside me. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't want to believe anything ugly. This was Mark, my brother, the one who once held me when our dog died, the one who punched my high school ex when he made me cry. Could he be hiding something from me? I told myself it was nothing, that maybe it was about work, that maybe I was just paranoid. But the seed of doubt had already been planted. And doubt, once watered, grows fast. The next few months were a blur. I went back to work, kept my head down. I tried dating again, but every man felt like a poor imitation. They didn't laugh the same, didn't look at me the way Ryan used. And then, one night, I found out I was pregnant. Ryan had been gone 3 months. I took 3 tests, just to be sure. I sat in the bathroom numb. I didn't cry, didn't smile, just sat there. I told Mark. He hugged me, held my hand, said everything would be okay. And maybe he meant it, but I still remember that tiny flicker of something in his eyes. Guilt, panic. I wasn't sure. He said, "You're strong, Claire. You don't need anyone. You've got family." I nodded. Because what else could I do? Ryan was gone. But his absence grew louder with each passing day, and in the quiet of my room, with my hand on my belly and my heart in pieces, I whispered to the ceiling, "Why, Ryan, why did you leave me?" But the walls never answered, and neither did he. 3 years passed. Long years, filled with diapers, doctor visits, lonely birthdays, and long, silent nights. My daughter Emily became my reason to wake up every morning. She had Ryan's eyes, that soft, mossy green that made you feel like home. I never heard from Ryan again. No calls, no birthday card, not even a message to ask about his child. I stopped wondering where he went, stopped waiting. I had to. For Emily, Mark became our rock. He babysat when I had late shifts. He showed up with groceries. He even came to her preschool graduation, camera in hand, tears in his eyes. Everyone said, "You're lucky to have a brother like him," and I believed them, until the wedding invitation came. It arrived in a cream envelope, elegant and gold-trimmed. I thought it was for someone else, but then I saw the names Mark and Rachel. Rachel, it was like my breath got stuck halfway down my chest, because Rachel wasn't just some woman. She was Ryan's ex, the one before me, the one he never really stopped talking about. Back when we were together, he'd mention her sometimes, too fondly, too often. It always made me uncomfortable. I never met her, but I knew enough. I stared at the card like it might set fire to my hands, and for a second, I wished it would burn me, so the pain inside could match the pain outside. I called Mark. He sounded cheerful, light, like he'd just come back from a run. I said, "Rachel." "That Rachel?" He chuckled. "Yeah, crazy, right? We reconnected last year. Total coincidence. It didn't feel like one. Not when he knew how Ryan felt about her. Not when he had been there the night Ryan vanished. I asked, did? Silence. Then he said, Claire, that was years ago. Things change. People move on. But I hadn't. Not really. Not when every day I looked into Emily's eyes and saw a man who walked out on me. I asked, does Rachel know about Emily? He paused. Double quotes. No, and I think it's better that way. Better for who? I hung up that night. I couldn't sleep. I stood. She was so peaceful, so unaware of how messy the world could be. My heart was a blender. Memories and rage and confusion all swirling together. I didn't want to go to that wedding. I didn't want to see Rachel in white. Didn't want to see Mark smiling like he hadn't broken something inside me. But curiosity is cruel. And pain, it likes to dress up in hope and pretend to be closure. So I went. The venue was beautiful. A vineyard, all candles and soft music. I wore a blue dress. Emily held my hand, her curls bouncing with every step. People smiled at us, complimented. Her dimples said she looked just like her father. I just nodded, and then I saw them. Mark, looking dapper in his tux. Rachel, glowing, holding his arm. She looked perfect, too perfect. And when her eyes met mine, she froze just for a moment. But I caught it. Recognition, shock, and something else. Guilt. She walked over during the cocktail hour. Claire, I've heard so much about you. I smiled. Tight. Funny. I've heard a lot about you too. She looked down at Emily. Her smile faded. She's beautiful. She looks like her father. Rachel nodded slowly, and I saw the math clicking. In her head, her jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Later, during the vows, I watched Mark say things like, "You're the only woman who ever truly saw me. You're my beginning and my end," and I wondered, was he lying then? Or had he been lying to me all along? When the bride and groom kissed, people clapped. I couldn't because, right then, I knew something was wrong. Something twisted, something I hadn't seen yet. But it was there lurking behind those smiles, waiting to reveal itself. And when it did, it would shatter everything. A week after the wedding, everything started unraveling. It began with a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Emily was coloring on the floor. I opened the door and there she was. Rachel. Her hair was pulled back, face bare, eyes restless. "Can we talk?" I stepped aside. I didn't know why. Curiosity, resentment, or maybe I just wanted to know what else she was hiding. She sat at the edge of my couch like it might bite her. "Claire," she began, "I think I know who Emily's father is." I said nothing. She stared at Emily. "It's Ryan, isn't it?" My silence was all the answer she needed. Rachel let out a shaky breath. "I thought so." I crossed my arms. "Did Mark ever tell you?" Her eyes flicked up. "No, but I heard them talking years ago. Late one night," she paused. "Mark said Ryan ran off because of me. That stopped me." I sat down, slowly. "Because of you." She nodded. "He said Ryan couldn't deal with how he still felt. That it was better if he left quietly." I stared at her, heart pounding. "Ryan left me pregnant. Alone." Rachel looked like she might cry. I didn't know, I swear. Then she pulled something from her purse. A photo, old, faded. Ryan, Mark, and Rachel. The three of them at a lake. Arms around each other. We were friends. All of us. But the last few months before Ryan left, something changed. She swallowed. "I think your brother did something." My stomach turned. Like, what? I don't know. But Ryan told me just days before he disappeared that Mark wasn't who he pretended to be. Her voice dropped. "Claire, do you think Mark pushed him away?" My thoughts swirled. Mark had been so good, so steady, but also so present. Every time Ryan and I fought, every time I cried. And now he was married to Rachel, almost like he wanted to erase Ryan. I looked at Emily, still coloring, still innocent. "I can't prove anything," Rachel said, "but I think you deserve to know." She left quietly, her perfume lingering in the air. That night, I couldn't sleep. The puzzle pieces didn't just fit, they snapped together. The sudden silence from Ryan, Mark stepping into our lives, his wedding to Rachel like tying a bow on a stolen life, and then I remembered something, an old box tucked deep in the back of the hallway closet. Inside were letters. Ones Ryan had written but never sent. I hadn't opened them in years. I sat on the floor, Emily, asleep upstairs, and unfolded one. "Claire, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't find the courage to say goodbye properly." He talked about feeling watched, manipulated. Mark's been acting strange, like he knows something I don't. I think he's been talking to Rachel behind my back. I don't know who I can trust anymore. Tears hit the page. Another letter, shorter. "If anything happens to me, promise me you'll protect the baby." My breath caught. He knew, and he was scared. I clutched the letter to my chest. Mark didn't just take Rachel. He took Ryan's peace. He took everything. And now he was acting like the proud uncle, helping with school pickups, reading bedtime stories. While hiding the truth, I knew what I had to do. I had to find out what really happened the night. Ryan disappeared because deep down, I didn't believe he left on his own, and if Mark had anything to do with it, I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. The next morning, I called Mark. "We need to talk." His voice, as usual, was calm. Measured, too measured. "Sure, come by the house." When I arrived, Rachel was out. The house smelled like fresh coffee and lemon polish, like nothing in the world was wrong. Mark greeted me with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "What's going on?" I didn't sit, didn't even take off my coat. "You lied to me?" He blinked. "About what?" I held up Ryan's letters. His smile dropped. "Where? Did you get those?" "He left them with me, before he disappeared." Mark's jaw tightened. "That was 3 years ago, and yet somehow they explain everything better than you ever did." He turned away, walking to the window. "Claire, there are things you don't understand." I stepped forward. "Then explain them right now. Why did Ryan leave? What did you say to him?" Silence. Then finally he was going to ruin everything. Everything for who? Mark? For me? For Rachel? Or for you? He turned around, face flushed. "You were miserable with him. Always crying, always doubting yourself. I just wanted to protect you." "By what, making him disappear?" "I didn't make him do anything. I just told him the truth, which was," he hesitated. "Then that Rachel still had feelings. For him, that maybe he shouldn't marry you if his heart wasn't fully in it." I stared at him. "That's not protection. That's sabotage." He took a deep breath. "You were going to marry a man who was still hung up on someone else." I did what any brother would do. Any brother would have let me figure it out myself. His voice dropped. "He didn't deserve you." And there. It was not concern. Not love, control. Mark never wanted me to choose. He wanted to be the one who decided who stayed in my life and who didn't. And Emily. "You knew all this time she was Ryan's daughter, didn't you?" He didn't answer. "Didn't have to." I stepped closer. "You let her grow up thinking her father just disappeared while you played the hero." "I was the hero," he snapped. "I stepped in. I helped. I cleaned up his mess. You stole from both of us." His eyes burned. "You want the truth? Fine. I told Ryan to leave. I told him you'd be better off without him. And then I made sure he couldn't come back." "What does that mean?" "It means I convinced him Rachel was pregnant. With his baby. Told him it wasn't fair to marry you if he'd knocked up someone else." My stomach flipped. Rachel was never pregnant. He didn't know that. It hit me like a brick wall. Mark didn't just push Ryan out of my life. He manipulated everyone, me, Rachel. Ryan. He constructed the perfect lie. "You're sick," I whispered. "I protected this family," he said coldly. "You should be thanking me." I turned to leave. "Where are you going?" "To find Ryan and tell Emily the truth." He stepped in front of the door. "Don't. You'll destroy everything." I looked him in the eye. "No, Mark. That's what you did. I'm just cleaning up the pieces." I pushed past him, heart racing. And as I drove away, my phone buzzed. Unknown. Number 1 message. "Claire, I think it's time we talked." "Ryan." I slammed on the brakes. Ryan, he was back. I stared at my phone for a long time. "Claire, I think it's time we talked." Ryan. My fingers trembled as I typed back. "Where?" He replied instantly. "The park near 3rd and Willow. Noon." That park, where he first proposed. Where we once carved our initials into the bench beneath the big elm tree. I arrived early, hands sweaty, heart pounding, and then I saw him. Standing under that same tree. Older, tired, but still Ryan when he turned and saw me. His face, I can't explain it. It was sorrow. It was hope. It was guilt, wrapped in every wrinkle the years had left behind. "Claire." I didn't let him finish. "Why didn't you fight for me?" He looked down. "Because your brother convinced me I wasn't worth it. So you just disappeared?" "I thought Rachel was carrying my child. I thought marrying you would destroy both of you." I felt a familiar ache in my chest. The ache of choices made with half-truths. "She was never pregnant, Ryan." "I know. I found out a year later. But by then, I thought you hated me." "I did hate you," I whispered. "Until I realized you were lied to just like me." We sat in silence. The wind rustled the leaves above us, as if nature itself was eavesdropping. "You know Emily is yours," I said quietly, his eyes filled with tears. "Does she?" "No, not yet." He nodded slowly. "I want to." That was the first time in years I saw the real Ryan. Not the man who vanished, but the man who once held my hand and promised forever. In that moment, the lines of our past began to blur, not erased, but softened. "You're married to Mark now." "I was," he said bitterly. "We divorced 6 months ago." Turns out, lying your way into a marriage doesn't last. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to confuse you, or complicate things with Emily. Too late, I muttered, half laughing through the pain. He chuckled too, and for the first time we weren't enemies. We weren't strangers. We were two people, bruised but alive. That night I sat Emily down, her favorite stuffed bear in her arms, her feet swinging from the edge of the couch. "Sweetheart, remember the man at the wedding you called Uncle Ryan?" She nodded. "Well, he's not just Uncle Ryan, he's your dad." Silence. Then, slowly, "But I thought Daddy was gone. He never wanted to leave. Baby, someone made sure he couldn't stay. Is he coming back? If you want him to?" Her eyes lit up. "I do." I held her close, fighting back tears. "Then he will." The next day they met again. This time not as strangers, but as father and daughter. Ryan wept when Emily hugged him. She ran her fingers along his face as if trying to memorize the father she'd been robbed of. And just like that, the lines of the past began to redraw themselves, but not everyone was ready to let go. Later that week, I got a knock on my door. It was Rachel. "You had no right." "No right to what?" "To bring Ryan back into our lives? You're going to ruin everything, Claire. Everything that was built on lies, that's already ruined. You think Mark will just let this go?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Mark has no power over me anymore, or over Emily," she sneered. "You really think you've won? No, this isn't about winning. This is about truth, about healing, something you clearly don't understand." And then I closed the door in her face, because for the first time in years I wasn't afraid of my past anymore. I was rewriting it. I was cleaning out the attic that weekend, mostly just trying to feel normal again. The smell of old cardboard and dusty memories filled the air. Boxes labeled high school, mom's things, college notes. Then I found a small box tucked beneath an old winter coat. No label. Just a cracked leather binding wrapped in twine. I opened it. My hands suddenly shaky. It was Rachel's handwriting, a diary. I didn't mean to read it, but one line caught my eye. March 14th. I told Mark, the plan is working. Claire will never. No, the baby isn't Ryan's. My breath caught. What? I flipped back a few pages. March 3rd. Mark says, if I pretend I'm pregnant, Ryan will back off. It's too easy. He still loves Claire, but his guilt is stronger. I sat there frozen, each word burning through me like acid. She planned it. They planned it together. Mark and Rachel had orchestrated everything. They faked a pregnancy, manipulated Ryan, destroyed my engagement just to keep us apart. But why? February 22nd. Mark told me once Ryan is out, he'll convince Claire I'm her only true friend. He always wanted her money anyway. Oh my God. It wasn't just about jealousy. It was about control, about greed. About me. I felt sick. Every kind word Rachel ever said to me, every apology from Mark, it was all strategy. I snapped a photo of the diary pages. My hands were trembling. They ruined my life, I whispered. And for what? Power, money, hatred? I walked downstairs, still in shock. Ryan was in the kitchen with Emily, showing her how to make pancakes. She giggled as batter splashed on the counter. I stood there for a moment, heart aching. I had almost lost this. Because of them? Claire, Ryan asked, noticing my face. We need to talk. That night we sat together and read the diary. Ryan went pale. I knew they were cruel, but this is sick. They used us both. He nodded, jaw clenched. What do? We tell the truth. Finally, I posted the diary entries online, just the ones that revealed the lies. No attacks, no revenge, just truth. I didn't expect what came next. People believed us. Old friends reached out. Even Mark's former business partner messaged me. I always knew something was off about him. Thank you for being brave enough to share this. But not everyone was supportive. Rachel sent a furious message. You'll regret this. Mark tried to call. I didn't answer. Instead, I held Emily close that night. Mommy, yes, sweetheart. Are bad people always bad? I thought for a moment. Sometimes they are. Sometimes. They were just hurt once and never healed. But it's never okay to hurt others because of that. She nodded, then whispered, I'm glad you're my mom. I smiled, tears prickling my eyes. Me too, baby, me too. If you followed this story this far, thank you. It's not just a story. It's a reminder that family can betray, love can return, and truth eventually sets us free. If you'd like to come back and finish this journey later, or hear more stories that matter, you can hit that subscribe button. It helps you find your way back, and I'd be honored to have you here. That night, I locked Rachel's diary back in its box. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I no longer needed proof to know the truth. What mattered now was what I did with it. The sun was low that evening. Golden light streamed through the living room windows, but my heart felt heavy with everything I now knew. It was time to face them. Mark had invited the whole family for dinner. A last attempt, maybe, to make things right. I accepted, not out of kindness, but because I needed closure. When I arrived with Ryan and Emily, Rachel was already there, her smile tight, her eyes sharp. Mark stood near the fireplace, holding a wine glass like a man giving a toast. "Claire," he said, "we're glad you came." "Let's not pretend, Mark," I replied quietly. "You know why I'm here?" His jaw tightened. Rachel crossed her arms. "So you've chosen Ryan again?" she sneered. "After everything, no," I said. "I've chosen truth and peace." I took the diary out of my bag and placed it on the table. I read everything. "I know what you did." Mark chuckled, dry and bitter. "Oh, come on, Claire. You're blowing things out of proportion. Manipulating my fiancé, faking a pregnancy, lying to my face. That's not out of proportion. That's betrayal." Rachel stepped forward. "You were always the favorite, the pretty one, the smart one, the chosen one. Do you know how hard it is to be your shadow? So instead of being my sister, you chose to be my enemy." She didn't answer. Her silence was louder than anything she could have said. Ryan spoke up then. "I tried to stay away. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. I should have fought for the truth." Mark scoffed. "You two think this ends here? You think people will believe you over us?" "They already do," I said calmly. Then I handed him a folder. Inside were notarized statements from his former partner, from our old nanny, even from Rachel's college roommate, all confirming years of manipulation and emotional abuse. Mark's face went pale. "You planned this?" "No," I said. "I finished this." Rachel's voice cracked. "So what now? You destroy us." "No," I said quietly. "You already did that to yourselves. I'm just letting go." I turned to leave, but then I stopped. "One last thing," I said, my voice soft but firm. "Emily isn't just my daughter. She's the reason I'll never become like either of you." They said nothing. As we walked out, Emily squeezed my hand. "Are we safe now, Mommy?" I knelt beside her. "Yes, sweetheart. We are, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away." That night, as I tucked her in, I felt something shift. Not anger, not revenge, just release. I was no longer chained to their lies. I had chosen something better in my life. My truth. My peace, and I wasn't going to let anyone steal it from me again. If this story touched you, even just a little, know this: you're never alone in feeling betrayed. You're never weak for choosing peace over revenge. And you're always strong enough to start again. If you want to hear more stories that remind you of that, feel free to subscribe. We'll be here with truth, with heart, with hope, always. Some stories leave us silent. Others, they leave us thinking for days. Claire's story is one of those. It reminds us how deeply family can hurt us, but also how powerfully we can choose healing instead of hatred. She could have destroyed them. She had every right to. But in the end, she chose something stronger than revenge. She chose peace, and maybe that's what real strength looks like. Not in how loud we fight, but in how quietly we walk away from what no longer serves our soul. Now, I'd love to know, have you ever had to let go of someone you once loved deeply? What helped you move forward? How did you find your peace? Share your story in the comments. You never know who needs to hear it. And if this story moved you, if it sparked something real inside your heart, make sure you subscribe to this channel. That way, you won't miss the next story that just might change how you see love, truth, and yourself. Until then, take care of your heart. It's been through more than you know, and it deserves peace too.